is much more than music. It's an experience with a unique mix of spellbinding musical performances, island vibes, and mouth-watering local cuisine. It is the Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, and we are here live at the last event, International Night, and behind me on stage, one of our very own local acts, Quarry. Now, in this episode of Let's Talk Tobago, you are going to get highlights from Gospel Night, Seafood and Jazz, Jazz in the East, and of course, International Night. I am Davia Chambers, and this is Let's Talk Tobago.
Cause the carnival sweet like Tobago. Hey, it's your girl Adana, and this is Let's Talk Tobago.
The Tobago Jazz Experience also provides an excellent opportunity for local vendors to showcase their various arts and crafts, as you can see in this section here at the parade grounds of the Dwight York Stadium. But we're going to leave here to take you to the first event, the event that opened the Tobago Jazz Experience 2023 after a 3-year hiatus, Gospel Night, the Holy Land Experience at Shore Park Complex.
Thanks, Davia. This evening's jazz experience is all about praise and powerful worship. The performances and voices are sure to uplift one's spirit. There's a list of local and international acts like Positive, Blessed Messenger, who's on stage right now, and Jonathan Nelson. The crowd, as you can see, is just soaking up the atmosphere.
Family. Tell your neighbor, use my family. Say that. Yeah. Tell the next person and the next side, say, you are my family. Right? Now that hand you're holding. Lift it up. Lift it up. Lift it up. All over Shore Park. You ready? Hey, you serve the blood of Jesus. Plead the blood over you. This is what the prayer says.
Love me, hold me so. I wanna hear you sing this chorus. Let's keep everything nice.
Hey, somebody say, Lord, you're mighty, you're mighty. Yes, Lord, you're mighty. Olu sound to God. So, somebody praise you now. Whatever you want to do, Yahweh. Yahweh. Say what you the one you could do, Yahweh. Yahweh. Say, whatever you want to do, Yahweh.
I am happy that the first night has been dedicated to gospel. It is really rewarding, it's refreshing. My spirit feels renewed, and I am happy for this time of praise and worship.
I really like that they add this to the whole jazz experience. I actually want to come out now.
I believe that Christ should be the center of everything, so having the gospel event as part of jazz, you know, it's a really good initiative.
I can't be the only one who's excited to call your name. Oh, can't be the only one who's a Christian. I know I'm not the only one that's trusted in light and faith. Oh, but if that were the case, you would stay birthday. You want your kingdom come, your will be done, Lord. Tell your neighbor, say move. If it don't look like Jesus, move. If it don't smell like freedom, if it didn't drop from heaven, choreographed by the Spirit.
I've enjoyed them all. They all brought something different that I totally enjoyed. I'm outside, I'm dancing, I'm enjoying the praising.
The performances so far are great. I'm really proud of what I'm seeing.
And what do you think of, having a gospel night as part of the whole Tobago Jazz Experience?
Well, actually, I'm totally grateful for that. We were looking forward to this for years. Whoever came up with this, I'm really grateful and thankful.
This festival has been in the planning for the last year or so, since February of last year. And one of the things that we insisted was that we start the festival off with celebration and praise. And that's why we are here tonight, to give the persons the opportunity who prefer to sing and dance and clap and glory to God the opportunity to be part of the Tobago Jazz experience on its return after COVID.
I'm free to dance and sing, free to lift my hands and worship. Lord, I'm free. Woo. Lord, I'm free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Free to dance and sing, free to lift my hands and worship. Lord, hallelujah. Say it. You have won. Hey! Oh, Lord, hey! Jehovah, you. I trust in you. Everybody lift your voice and say, I believe you are the God of me. It's time to dance. It's time to dance.
That's it for us at Gospel Night. We've had a great time. From the Shopper Complex, I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
How does seafood and jazz sound? A great combination, right? So at this time, I'll hand you over to Avian Parks at the Buku Boardwalk and the Courtyard for seafood and jazz, hosted by the Tobago House of Assembly for the first time. So while you enjoy those highlights, I'm going to sip on some coconut water.
Hi guys, it's Avian Parks and I'm here at the Buku Courtyard and Boardwalk for the seafood and jazz. And it's going absolutely fantastic. Behind me, it's the sultry songs of Lynette Louis backed by the Caribbean Players. And we'll be bringing you some highlights from this event. It's the second event in the Tobago Jazz Experience, The Return. So stay with us. I'm here with the Executive Coordinator of Shore Park Complex and the Buku Integrated Facility, Kern Kawan. Kern, good evening.
Good evening, good evening.
Welcome to Let's Talk Tobago.
Thank you so much for having me.
The ambience here is fantastic at the seafood and jazz. What gave rise to this event, added to the Tobago Jazz Experience, The Return? Because of course, we have not had Buku as part of the lineup before.
Right. Well, I mean, the inspiration came when we saw the opportunity to fill a gap. And it was desirous of us to kind of match the culinary experience of Buku and match it with the cultural aspect of Buku and the environment of jazz all at once. So that's where the whole ambit of seafood and jazz kind of merged into being, you know. So that's really its genesis.
I just want to see how beautiful you are. You know that I see. I know you're a star. Where you go, I'll follow, no matter how far. If life is a movie, oh, you're the best part.
Oh, when you tell tales of magic, that must be love. So take it slow. We got so far. Come on, you say, when you, yeah, and we can rock down today. Share that beat of love.
So just tell us how you're enjoying seafood and jazz down here at the Buku Courtyard and Boardwalk.
It's a new experience, really. We are accustomed coming to jazz, but this venue, I don't think they had jazz here before. You know, and then you heard free concerts, but you wasn't expecting this level of, you know, professionalism, and the standard that is here is really great. I'm really enjoying it.
I think, you know, the cultural landscape of Tobago is pretty rich. I came today and I'm really enjoying it. Still in my clothes from the plane. and I'm enjoying it. So, I look forward to the rest of the weekend and hope that I can, patronize the rich culture that is Tobago Jazz Weekend.
Great, thank you. Enjoy. So just tell us how you're enjoying seafood and jazz this evening at Buku.
This is the first time and it is amazing. This is really nice. If this was done by THA and Buku, thank you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
It is so fantastic. You all need to have this every year for my birthday. I am having a blast. I can't say that I did not have a great birthday this year. It was fantabulous.
Great.
I really love it. I'm coming back again.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to having you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
I will. Thanks so much.
Everybody wants to know what's going on with me. Now let you nobody live inside of my head rent free. Say loud, I'm living happy in a real life. I'm living happy in a real life. Say loud, I'm living happy in a real life. Celebrate my life, you never get me down. Celebrate my life, this ain't a funeral.
We're having a very good time. Having a lovely time.
And where are you from?
I'm from South Africa.
Great, fantastic.
You're having a really good time. Music is good, food is banging. Amazing night.
You can't stop me.
The show is excellent. The food was great. And I'm looking forward in general to what is going to happen in jazz. All right. So far, things are going very well. Congratulations to the organizers.
Yes. So I'm here to share some beautiful songs with you guys, and I hope you all enjoy it and, end up dancing the evening away. So come on, let's go.
And I just don't want too much, never too much, never too much, never too much.
It's always amazing having you on the stage in Tobago. What was it like for you performing at Seafood and Jazz?
Oh, it was my pleasure being back home and performing on stage and just giving you all the beautiful music I know you all know and love.
I surely miss your tender kiss. Don't leave me this way. Baby, my heart is filled with love and desire for you.
And this is how we bring the curtains down on Seafood and Jazz here at Buku Courtyard and Boardwalk. As you can see, it was an amazing experience, and you heard it for yourself from the patrons. On stage behind me, Xavier Strings, they are closing the show.
Didn't we tell you the Tobago Jazz experience is much more than music? It's an entire experience. When we come back, we have more highlights from the 4-day festival this year, right after these messages. Stay with us.
Yo, you don't know this, your boy Chromatics live from Tobago. Bigging up Let's Talk Tobago. Say, wrap it up, Maddox. Cheer!
Now, scores of patrons flocked to the east of Tobago, Speyside to be exact, for Jazz in the East, which featured regional artists, Everton Blender and Richie Spice, among many other local artists. So we're going to take you there right now. Ryan McCool has all the highlights.
And as you heard, we are at the Speyside Recreation Grounds, and it is the Speyside Jazz. This evening promises to be a wonderful one with melodious, sultry music with a fusion of artists from all over the Caribbean. And we do have a couple legends inside there as well, in the names of Everton Blender, Super Blue. We got artists as well as KMC, Benjai, Gardenite, Anomaly, Carol Warner, Cashier Stewart, and the list goes on. Second Star, right now we got France Job on stage, and people are still coming in. It's still early, the gates are now open, so let's go stateside to see what's happening.
Man, it's like a paradise down there, down into Tobago. We sit down and reminisce times. Enough time me feel like crying.
At last, my love has come along.
Soca does give me powers. Yeah, make me jump and fit for hours. Nah.
Self-praise and no recommendation. But when that one ya drop, we boom up them station. The people say, yeah, the night when you are wait for long time now, them not hear such creation again.
And we're here with one of the top acts who definitely shut down the Speyside Jazz, the one and only Gardenite. Welcome, great performance tonight.
Yeah, man, blessed love, man, everything cool.
Yeah.
Natural.
Tell me, how was the experience? How did you feel about the delivery from the music and the reception from the crowd?
Man, the reception from the crowd is always great. You don't know where it go.
Everyone really look forward to your performance. How did you personally feel doing it?
I mean, always proud, always proud. You know, to represent for Speyside and Tobago on the whole.
Well, there you have it, Gardenite. Big artist. And as he says, self-praise is no recommendation, so I'm going to give him all the praise. Big artist, big artist. Blessings, man. Yeah.
We coming from a first street. I repeat that on the back street. Party can't done.
Children, come on here. Come on, the can't.
The party can't done. The party can't done. Where you come from with that? Hey, Trinidad, Mr. Wet everyone.
All right, we're here with one of the patrons, and tell us, how are you enjoying this Speyside Jazz experience?
I'm having a ball. I'm having a great time.
How have you been enjoying your Speyside Jazz experience?
I'm really impressed. Really impressed. Yeah.
What about you?
I'm having an awesome time.
Speyside Jazz has always been a real good thing for all the years, you know what I mean? It's really exciting.
I love the ambience, the tranquil village of Speyside, bringing everything full energy. It's wonderful.
So what are some of the performances you're looking forward to tonight? What are some of the acts you're looking forward to?
Richie Spice, Everton Blender.
Blendem, Everton Blender. And the roots and culture. Everton Blender. They don't know. We used to sing and dance, me never get no money. I was spreading good words to every goodie. Now me I spread it universally. There's a lot more you're gonna hear from me. Oh, you know, and that you're my I know that you are not bloody, so please make up your mind. Mankind, if a man do wrong and you do it too, Jah is gonna beat you for true. There's an unseen eye watching you. Any little thing that you do, you and you. Why? Lift up your head and hold it up. We know that we'll win the prize. I'm getting older, still we're striving for better. And we're not gonna stop till the battle is won and we get justice. Cause if you lose your stand, anyone will try to push you over. Over and over. Lift up your head and hold it up. We know that we'll win.
Reggae legend, the reggae icon, the one and only Everton Blender. Oh my gosh, powerful performance. How do you feel about the performance tonight?
Yeah, man, I feel good, man. Feel good, you know. Yeah, man, so we just want a blessing and know that the people them love the positive vibes, you know. Yeah, man, so I feel good. Tobago, love the idea.
How you been enjoying your personal experience in Tobago so far?
Yeah, man, people them show me love, man. People them show me love, you know. So we give thanks, I would come again.
So we want to say thanks again for coming through and blessing us with a wonderful performance tonight.
Thank you, man. It's a blessing, man. Nice to have him here.
Watch those places you walk and mind out where you turn. Watch out for them vampires who will sneak up in the dark. Watch out for them big time thief who claim say that them smart. They bring in the crack and the gun to come mess up the use them hard. It's 100. Tell you what I do, they wanna see bread. There's an old garage of righteous people out there. And we're giving up, no way. No time, no. Whole barrage of righteous youth in town. And we're going down. We're never gonna stop, no way. The world is a cycle. Round and round, round and round. Everything around me is around in a circle. Going round and round, 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 round and round. Is a cycle. Going round and round, round and round. Everything around me is around in a circle. Going round and round, round and round, round and round. Check the step you take and every breath you make. Talking to you. Cause the little things you do is coming back into you. Talking to you. The dictionary might just be your destiny. Talking to you. Your sight on the rise about the odds, you gain no victory.
Yes, folks, it's been a wonderful night here at the Speyside Jazz. Beautiful music from dancehall to reggae to soca, a bit of jazz, and a lot of fusion inside there. A lot of fusion. The crowd, the patrons were just singing and dancing the night away, and I believe everyone enjoyed themselves. So, from all of us here at the Speyside Jazz, it's over to you, Davian.
Now, this event, International Night of the Tobago Jazz Experience, was nothing short of amazing. From the local performers, Kwa, Stephanie Joseph, Story Time, the Pan Trio, Kirsch Ramsey, Kishon Julian, and OJ Richards, to international acts Coffee and Boys to Men. I am very excited to share these highlights with you because I enjoyed it all, and I really hope that you enjoy it as well.
This world is getting so cold. I wanna keep running like a soldier. Somebody must have touched my soul. I'll pack my things and go. That's right. Hit the road, yeah. Don't you come back no more. Don't you come back no more.
Let me tell you a story about a little boy who live a country. Yes, with a dream so big, so nice and much energy. People think he asleep plenty.
Well, we are so impressed with this evening. It's amazing. We've been to a lot of live gigs in the UK, and this beats everything we have seen. I love the music, I love the acts so far. We're here with some good friends, and the vibe is just fantastic.
Yeah, my name is Shaka, I came from Trinidad. Yeah, so far everything good. Nice music, good entertainment. I have good people with me here too. So yeah, so far the vibe is nice.
The response of the audience tonight is a perfect example. I feel like people are enjoying the music and are really supporting, so I'm thankful for that.
Talking
sound beautiful. Hey, we're gonna bring this music down, so please, can you send us off the right way? Tobago, everybody sing as loud as you can. Everybody, to the y'all can sing louder than that. Yeah, they can sing louder than that one. Louder, louder. Go to the
We really wish it could last much longer, but this event brings the curtains down on the Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, a production of the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited and the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. I'm Davia Chambers, and we really and truly hope you enjoyed this episode. On behalf of all of us at the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, we wish you a safe and productive week, and we hope to see all of you again next year for the Tobago Jazz Experience 2024.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago, good morning Trinidad, those of you viewing in the Caribbean, and those of you on the live. Good morning to you. Good morning, Julian.
Good morning, Rhea. How are you doing this morning?
Doing very well. Happy that it is a Friday.
Yes, it's that kind of morning. It's that kind of morning. Folks, it's Friday, the 5th of May, 2023. Yes, that time is running. That time is progressing. And indeed, we are in the best month of the year, May, that midway kind of celebration. You're just around halfway in.
Yes, it is.
Is it that Rhea is agreeing fully there?
Definitely, definitely.
You don't see that very often, folks, so we'll take it when we get it. Rhea, interesting developments here happening in the mix in Trinidad and Tobago, and more specifically Tobago. Press conference, one after the other, or one in, one out. I don't know how to describe it.
That's right, and here's hoping Candace has more information for us on that. But I think these are situations, Julian, you've just got to sit back, rock back, fold your arms, and watch to see how things are going to pan out.
It really feels almost as if an election bell has rung. Yes, one seems to be in the process, but that's local government taking place there in Trinidad. But we wait to hear more updates as we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Rhea. I am Candace Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Friday, 5th May 2023. The Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries was accused of holding back economic progress in Tobago by Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James. At a post-executive press conference, James said the Study Park Enterprises Limited is without its blasting permit halting production. The blasting permit expired in April 2023, but James claimed that attempts to renew it began in October 2022, 5 months before the expiration date. They were unable to obtain positive responses from the ministry, according to James. As a result, the THA is unable to profit from the quarry. Meanwhile, James also raised concerns about the ministry's intentions to audit the Soddy Park quarry before granting a mining license to decide if royalties should be paid to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. According to the THA Act 40 of 1996, all state lands in Tobago are vested in the Tobago House of Assembly, and all royalties and taxes must be paid to the THA. He said the prevention of the license is another attempt by the central government to encroach upon the rights of the THA and called on the minister to intervene. And nationally, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has 7 days to publicly apologize to opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessor or face a defamation lawsuit. Rowley accused Persad-Bissessor of saying crime is targeting one ethnic group at Sunday's PNM Sports Day in Toko. Persad-Bissessor's attorneys delivered a pre-action protocol letter to Rowley yesterday. Failure of Dr. Rowley to issue the public apology would trigger high court proceedings for the defamation lawsuit. She claimed that the statements had irreparably damaged her reputation, while the Prime Minister attempted to divert attention away from his failures to control the crime situation. And that was your news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Julian and Rhea.
Thank you so much there, Candace.
Thank you very much there, Candace. And you know, I hear, particularly starting from the very last news story, Rhea, in relation to that inciting, you know, racial and ethnic and court action and so on. And I ask myself, which of the two major political parties do not conveniently use those strategies, particularly going into an election period? I mean, we live in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's very unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. One would wish that they would both kind of lean away from it. But we still have what is this very predominant feel that depending on your race, this is the party, so to speak, that you support or that you belong to in Trinidad and Tobago. Very interesting. Let's see where this court action goes, and then let's see the apology that comes, and let's see that we move on to the next racial issue within Trinidad and Tobago. I suppose I should sound a little more hopeful for the children of the nation.
For the children of the nation as well, Julian, we see the Prime Minister here is accusing the opposition of having a hand in last Friday's bomb scare that forced the closure of schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And
well, interesting developments. They both seem to say when it's convenient. I'd probably want to use their words ultimately. Whatever evidence you have, take it to the police. Take it to the police and allow it to be investigated and treated. But always an interesting dynamics in our country here in terms of the politics. And interesting enough as well, the issues being raised by Secretary Trevor James at the press conference in relation to matters of the quarry. And you know, to me, I think those things are very straightforward. If it isn't so, then simply provide the facts on the part of the government to confirm that you have not been a part of, you know, creating the challenge. But it's left to be seen how all that is responded to in the circumstances. But perhaps, who knows, we'll see where the developments go in terms of our continued politics here. It just feels like we are just about heading into 2 years in, midterm for the last Tobago, from the last Tobago House of Assembly election. And I feel like we're almost in the 3rd or 4th year already, heading right back into another election based on what is this heightened atmosphere taking place. Rhea, who do we have on our rundown this morning?
All right, so on the rundown, and then we get into some birthday celebrations. So we're going to start things off this morning chatting with Charles Smith, chairman of the Tobago East Constituency, executive of the People's National Movement, and he'll tell us more about the PNM and the Tobago East.
All right, we continue the conversation with Esther Ali, and she's the director of Palm Star Promotion, and they're going to be having the 2nd annual National Spelling and Vocabulary Challenge, and we're looking forward to those discussions. That takes place tomorrow here in Tobago, at least the Tobago leg of the National Spelling and Vocabulary Challenge. So we look forward to updates on that.
And we're going to wrap things up this morning chatting with Michael Duncan, who is a farmer and owner of Green Thumb Organic Farmers Market, as well as George Walcott, who's the coordinator. And they're going to chat with us on Tobago's first organic farmers market. So we're certainly looking forward to those discussions.
Right, straight on in Friday, the 5th of May, 2023. We are speaking birthdays. Who do we have on the lineup this morning as we celebrate our birthdays here on the Tobago Updates morning show?
All right, so we start things off this morning celebrating King Legal. Happy birthday going out to you this morning. Happy belated birthday greetings going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates, and that's the King Legal. Our good friend out there in Guyana, Tobago, our Tobago boy, born, bred Guyanese. Wayne Williams celebrating her birthday. Wayne, lots of love going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates. We trust that you have a great one.
Familiar face on screen, Dr. Shane Mohammed, wishing Dr. Shane Mohammed a happy birthday and God's continued blessings.
I'm sure Candace sent her greetings long before. And we've got Celeste Floyd celebrating her birthday. Celeste, lots of love going out to you. Happy birthday going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates. Do enjoy. And that's our good friend out there. This is Gemma Redmond, no stranger to most of us here at Tobago Updates. Gemma Redmond celebrating her birthday. Lots of love going out to you this morning, Miss Redmond, from Mr. Nana, Mr. Parks, Mr. Payne, and the entire team.
Yes, sending birthday shout-outs to Kern Cowan. Kern Cowan, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Coming from my entire family, also coming from our Tobago Updates family. Can't forget at all, coming from the wife, Kersha, and the entire family. Hard-working gentleman here, certainly wishing that he takes at least a moment out to enjoy the birthday celebrations.
That's right. That's right. I'm one of the coordinators of one of those jazz events as well.
Yes.
All right, and we've got Udani Bruce, celebrating her birthday. Lots of love going out to you. Happy birthday going out to you. And trust that you have a really great one. And that's, wow. I wonder where did they find this?
Yes, our birthday shout-outs courtesy KFC. Just in case you're missing who's in photo there. You've got the man himself, Nana, and that's Miss Redmond in the middle, and Ria on the other side there. Yes, bring back the old time days.
You talk about the old time days. This was one of our...
Or should we say this is a flashback?
Serious flashback. This was one of our well-known business meetings or production planning meetings that was held at Quarry many years ago. Ms. Redmond was one of those managers who took you out of the office.
Got in the mix indeed. Very interesting lineup here this morning. So we want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you continuing to connect with us and to choose us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Coming up, we have Charles Smith. We'll be chatting with Charles Smith, chairman of the Tobago East Constituency Executive of the People's National Movement. So we look forward to those upcoming discussions. And we just had Charles on screen there with us, Ria.
Most definitely, and not Dr. Paul Crooks.
Yes, slight mix-up in the write-up there.
Yeah.
But certainly we're looking forward to this morning's discussions. And at this point, we head on into Tobago in Focus.
The Division of Education, Research and Technology's Student Support Services provides a range of services all geared at the holistic development of all children, including those who require special education services. School psychologist Marian Kent dispelled the notion that special education is a place. Rather, it is about encouraging children to embrace themselves.
Special education is a range of services that's afforded to individuals or students who struggle academically, behaviorally, emotionally, socially, in fitting in and being able to perform with the reading, the math, even achieving goals.
Assistant Education Coordinator Susan Grant explained that a child with special needs or one requiring special education services are not limited to academic shortcomings. It also includes children who are creative or exceptional.
Special needs is not only what we see or the obvious. We have to talk about those who are the exception, who are brilliant and are moving ahead of our mainstream curriculum, and those who, because of circumstances, may end up needing specialized services.
Providing the best services for our children is the department's top priority and often requires collaboration with other divisions and agencies. However, the most important partnership is with the family. Ms. Kent appealed to parents and guardians to support the work of the department by becoming advocates for their children. The Division of Education, Research and Development's Student Support Services provides various services to students from early childhood to secondary school.
Morning viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. We're just at about 7:10 a.m. this morning, and in this segment we get the conversation started with Charles Smith, chairman of the Tobago East Constituency Executive of the People's National Movement. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Julian. Thanks for having me.
All right, so this morning we're chatting the PNM and in particular Tobago East. So I want you to start off. I mean, Charles, we go way back.
Yes,
I know each other for a number of years. But for the benefit of our viewers wondering, who is Charles Smith? Just give us a little insight.
Well, I started with the People's National Movement when the Tobago Council was established, which is 1990. That's 25 years now. I served in various capacities, starting as youth officer, as well as vice chairman of the party group, which is at Bagatelle, actually, and also serving in Tobago East in various positions. And now I'm the chairman of Tobago East.
All right, so just in case you're wondering, folks, he's no newcomer to the happenings on the political stage. So as we get the conversation started, I want to get from you, Charles, when we speak Tobago East, just give us the broad expanse and representation in terms of what's the breakdown political party-wise, because I know within the structure of parties, there are party groups and so on that form the area.
Right, well, Tobago East comprises actually the 7 electoral districts that make up the Tobago East constituency in the National Parliament. So where we have the representative, the Honorable Ayanna Webster Roy, that is the constituency that I am responsible for, which is just from Scarborough, Collar Hall, Mason Hall, and takes you right up to Charlottesville. So that's the area I'm talking about. We have currently 16 active party groups, and so we're working with that. It used to be 22, and by God's grace, we're going to get back up to 22 very soon.
Right. As we look broadly at the affairs, and I suspect quite naturally it's split up into Tobago East and Tobago West,
yes,
based on its current structure. What would you say that the Tobago East Constituency Executive or the board, the management, has been up to in terms of activities in relation to the politics?
All right, and that's a good question. Since I assumed office in November, I was given the mandate that we need to rebuild, because we would have obviously gone through a period where at the assembly level, the party did very badly. And so there was some need for some rethinking, some restructuring. We spent some time asking ourselves the question, who we are, what's our purpose, and why are we here? And where are we actually? And that led us into evaluating what was the cause for, our loss at the polls. It in some quarters nearly led to bloodshed, right? But there were a lot of tears being shed, angry voices. Persons were able to vent and share, hey, this is why we think we lost. But now we were able, after that, to create a new vision, a vision to be the premier party on the island of Tobago, where we would put people first, the equity of people, and ensure that we leave a legacy for our children to come. So that's our new vision. And we're working towards that. We have had several strategic meetings. We have had small meetings with persons in the community trying to bridge the gap deal with the issues that would have affected us negatively. And we understand what would have caused the disconnect, because it was a disconnect that really resulted in where we are today.
Would you say that you probably describe that as one of the major reasons for the fallout? And if we look at just the span of the Tobago history, neither of us being probably old enough, but we did our research. But looking at the span of starting in the context of the first 20 years or so, in terms of the times of the NER, DAC, and so on, then having what would have been, you know, as many of our foreparents described, a time when people didn't even want to see or hear the PNM in Tobago, and then the breakthrough of Orville London in 2001, going on for a period of 21 years, Orville just about 16, and the others that would have followed, Mr. Charles and Dennis, in terms of the responsibilities. Tell us what you feel is probably part of the main reason, or that area, as you mentioned, in terms of trying to correct, that would have led to, after that extensive period, a change happening again? Or are you one of those that say it's a natural part of Tobago's history in terms of the timeline?
Well, I think, yeah, there is some element of it being providential, right? But I do believe that what happened was a disconnect between governance and meeting the needs of the people. Particularly with the COVID period that we entered, the needs of the persons in our island space, they changed. But the party, we were busy governing and creating institutions and building facilities, but there was a disconnect. And with that disconnect, it resulted in the persons putting pressure on the party to bring the secretaries and the assemblymen to heel. But it did not happen. And so the people took the decision that, hey, we're going to go in another direction. There was a warning. The warning shot was 6-6. But because we didn't amend our ways, we didn't change, it resulted in us having one seat in the assembly at this time. I believe that there is an element of God's hand in it, because we were warned. The 6-6 was a warning. But if the warning wasn't heeded, then God would send you into the wilderness to learn a lesson. And I think we are learning our lesson in the wilderness right now.
Interesting perspective. I know you sit as Tobago East, yes. But let me ask you the broader question, though. In taking recognition of that challenge that might have occurred, would you say one of the things that the party would have to look at is a fresh crop of candidates and not necessarily recycling from the past? We saw it even in the times of Patrick Manning making his changes, Keith Rowley, to the uproar and the upset of many, but taking the hard decision that we've got to put new faces at the forefront, even if those who have the experience and expertise provide that continued support in the background. Do you see the People's National Movement making that kind of change, especially when people believe that the party is so rigid in its structure that you always tend to see those who are probably more senior and more experienced being given the forefront in most instances?
Well, as I alluded to it earlier, Julian, the issue is that the people needs have to be met. At the PNM, it is at the ground level that candidates are selected first. In the villages, in the small areas where they meet as party groups, 10, 15, 20 members, they would send forward a person to be nominated as their candidate. And I can tell you from conversations that I've had with the groups, they are looking in a new direction. Persons have been identified already as having potential to be candidates. But I would also say that even though you're bringing in the new, it doesn't mean that all the old will be discarded. So definitely you would need a mix of youth, you would need a mix of experience, you would need a mix of age. So I would think definitely there would be some new candidates coming forward, but I would not count out all previous comers to the fore.
But would you at least err on the side of caution, bearing in mind what some describe as, unfortunately, it's no secret, the whole zipline issue associated with the then political leader seemed to have affected negatively what would have been the full campaign, one way or another. I mean, that's a matter now in terms of the court and so on. But would you err on the side of caution to ensure that that doesn't become the kind of circumstance where probably the history, for one, might have the opportunity to affect the party collectively, or is that something that's still being deliberated on?
All right, so what you're really talking about is the baggage that candidates may bring.
Correct.
right? And
Because that's a real issue in our politics.
Absolutely, and it should be. Because ideally, there is a criteria for selection, and persons have to meet the integrity test. That's one of the criterias. And so using the criteria, it would eliminate some persons. So if you have baggage that would affect your ability to govern, because it's not about the campaign, it's your ability to govern and govern well and meet the needs of the people, then obviously it would eliminate you from selection. So it might be something as simple as you're not a people person, you don't like to talk to people, your head in the clouds. That would prevent you from meeting the needs of people, and so as a result, you would be eliminated from the process when we look at the criteria for selection.
All right, very interesting times ahead. And I like what you're probably describing as that review and assess the situation in terms of moving ahead. Tell us a little bit in terms of Tobago East and the broader People's National Movement with that greater integration of younger persons within the mix of the party, assuming responsibility and leadership and not just membership in the organization.
Well, Julian, I think I'm still young. Both of us probably the same age, all right? So our political leader is also, he's over the age of 40. Most of the persons who are in leadership positions now, even within the party, you have a new crop of leaders coming forward. And it's not by chance, because the party is structured in such a way that when you come in, you serve at the lower levels and then you gradually make your way to the helm. And that being so, it has allowed persons who would have been nurtured over the last 20 years to be available now with the necessary skill and political capital to move the party in a new direction. And so we do have an exciting bunch of young persons who are energized and they are ready. They are saying, Charles, let them call elections. Let them call elections. They are ready. But of course, we are also going to engage in a training program, and the political leader would share more about that soon. That would help to further develop the political acumen and the administrative skills of the persons we are looking at to be the persons engaged in governance over the next 20 years.
All right. What can we look forward to in the context of the Tobago East constituency from where you sit within the coming period? Because ultimately, for any political entity, it's working towards elections. So within the next year or two.
Well, it's amazing that you would ask that, because I would be the chairperson constitutionally until November, right? That's the next election cycle. So what we're actually trying to set up, or what we have set up, is that we have developed a strategic plan, we have developed an operational plan, we have already developed a change management plan, and now we are on the cusp of rolling it out. I actually met with the party groups last night for Tobago East, as well as with the political leader, and I shared with them what the vision and mission is, the things that we're going to do. And so we are starting a series of meetings with persons throughout the island to get them re-engaged, to get their ideas, because it's not only about the leadership. We don't know everything, right? And a lot of what may have transpired, the persons on the ground know better than us. And they have been sharing, and they will continue to share. And so as we chart that direction, we're getting them involved so that we can also get them on board to go in that direction. I can tell you that there are several events that are planned. You would see the rollout very soon. And by November, when I demit office, if it's God's will, I know that the party and Tobago East would be in a better place.
Tell us, as you're making the distinction, November, is that the constituency election separate from what might be the party internals, just for the benefit of those who may not have a clear understanding based on the structure, if you're not a member in possession
Right.
of the constitution or the rules and regulations?
Right. Well, all the constituencies throughout Trinidad and Tobago have an executive. And that executive is elected every year. So every year there is election at a particular time. However, the election at the council level, which is the Tobago Council, which governs both East and West Tobago, they would have elections every 2 years or every 4 years, right? So every 2 years there's election for the some positions, about 12 positions, and the other positions, which are 4-year terms, the political leader, the chairman, the general secretary, they're elected every 4 years. So the Tobago Council election is actually due next year, January.
Right.
But the constituency elections would be due in November.
In November.
Of course, that could change, granted that we know that local government elections is in the air, and as a party, we tend not to have internal elections when you have national elections or local government elections in the air.
But does it directly affect the operations of the Tobago Council, seeing that local government is more central to the happenings in Trinidad?
Well,
how does it work?
Well, as you know, we are a national party, and the truth is, as Tobago, we lend support even to the national structure. So you would see that persons from Tobago leave and go to Trinidad to support them on the campaign. After all, the PNM in Tobago would have been in governance for 20 years. There's something that we could teach them in Trinidad as well. So we tend to also lend support to the national campaign, and because of that, it does affect the happenings of the Tobago Council.
All right. Your perspective on the happenings currently in terms of the administration in office. We currently have the Farley Augustine-led administration. We are seeing in the mix what has become a new back and forth between the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary. And some say it isn't necessarily a back and forth because nobody isn't saying anything. But the reality is there is some tension that is brewing. Your thoughts on the current circumstances and how this can potentially impact the relations at the moment, and Tobago more specifically?
For those of us who are old enough, my mind is cast back to the period just prior to the PNM taking the administration. The former Chief Secretary, which was Mr. Hotchoy Charles, used to posture the very way that our current Chief Secretary is posturing. And Tobago quickly found out that that is not what is required nor desired. The challenge is that we are asking the current administration simply to do the things that you have promised. You came, you campaigned, you advertised yourself, we hired you for a job. All we are asking you to do is to settle down and do the job that you were hired to do. But instead we are getting everything else, especially the things that you promised you were not going to do. And that is really the challenge. So you're going to spend a lot of time, exert a lot of energy in a fight with Trinidad, which is of no value to us, instead of trying to work hand in hand to build our nation together. I am disappointed, to be honest. And most persons who approach me, they will say, Charles, they have buyer's remorse. I'm sorry, but we are sorry that we put them there, because now we feel in the pain. We were hoping that they would do the things that they would have promised, but now most persons, they feel a little hopeless. And because of the current construct of our constitution, it doesn't allow for change in the THA until next 2 years. And as you mentioned earlier, it feels as though we 40 months into it, you know, because of the heightened state. And if you're always in campaign mode, when would you get into governance mode? When would you start doing the people's business? And that is the real challenge. You would have exposed that you're going to fix certain systems and you're going to deal with the challenges. They have not been done. And that's the real problem. It's not that persons are interested in elections. Elections seem to be the only solution to the problem that is we need these persons to perform. And that's the crux of the matter.
One of the things I want to ask, Charles, based on what you have put forward there, do you see the People's National Movement playing a particular role by virtue of belonging to the said national party? So you've seen situations in the House where it is the current administration, in instances, has called on the minority leader. Talk to your colleagues in Trinidad. Do you see a real role to be played in terms of advancing Tobago on the part of the minority leader that sits in the House and the political party, the political leader of the Tobago Council, based on what are existing relations as a part of the national party? Or those benefits can only be derived when the PNM Tobago Council is in power?
Julian, of course there is. there is a role to be played, and I will go further than that. Our sitting member of parliaments are also from the People's National Movement. So instead of establishing an antagonistic relationship, which, as I said, the same thing Hotjoy Charles did, you should really trying to collaborate, because it is one nation we are trying to build. And as a result, I would expect, and there is, I can tell you, collaboration between the Tobago Council and the national government, the minority leader and councillor, the member of parliaments. We want what is best for Tobago. But our demands also have to be reasonable, right? It cannot be that, and I saw it in another place, that there's an expectation that we will get close to $8 or $10 billion in the next budget, which is in excess of 10% of what the national budget is. And that is being touted by former PDP, turn independent, turn, well, soon to be TPP. I'm saying that there is a role, but the role cannot be antagonistic. There must be collaborative in their approach.
So you're calling for more of the London type approach when you make the comparison in terms of styles. But what about those who say, you know, Orville even himself got a little upset when he got down to the challenging times of that in between his 16-year period with the administration of the People's Partnership, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, that again, the difference in parties put certain pressures on the Tobago space. Are you one of those that support the fact, probably when it gets very tense, you have to get a little more harsh, or you still keep your cool within that time?
Well, I don't ever recall the Honorable Orville London saying, mind your damn business. Mm-hmm. I don't see how that helps the conversation. I don't see it. I know that he was very firm. Anytime you meet with him, he's very cordial, but he's very firm. And you could be that way. You are our leader. And that is a message I would send out to our Honorable Chief Secretary. You are our leader. The people follow the leader. And so as a leader, you're going to set the tone or the tenor for the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago. And so the Honorable Orville London didn't antagonize Kamla Persad-Bissessar, but he let her know where the line was drawn in the sand. And that is how you should approach things. So there's nothing wrong if you feel there's an incursion by the national government to communicate. But the way that it is being done, I don't think that it augurs well for the development of Tobago.
All right. Your closing comments as chair for the Tobago East constituency.
Well, first, let me say thanks again for having me. And we are in some exciting times. And as the Bible says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek God's face, he would forgive us and he would heal. And I would want to call for healing within our party. I know that there are some disgruntled persons even still. I would want us to reach out to each other, to mend the fences, to build back the bridges, to reconnect in such a way that it redounds to the family that we knew the PNM to be, that PNM family, particularly in Tobago East. And that would be my final desire or wish coming off this program.
All right, thank you very much there. Charles Smith joining us here on set, chairman of the Tobago East Constituency Executive. And I like the fact that we still have a little time to get an understanding of operations at that level, because you know by the time you hit into an election mode, your interviews have no time to discuss structure or any of the relevant breakdowns. Thank you so much for joining us here on set this morning at the Tobago Updates morning show. All right, viewers, at this point, we're preparing to head on over to Esther Ali, a very passionate lady when it comes to dealing with spelling and vocabulary and the nation's children within our education system. So we look forward to that upcoming interview as we speak to the second annual National Spelling and Vocabulary Challenge. Viewers, those of you connecting with us via TV, those also online with us this morning, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Jesus Rally Tobago is back. Rejoice, O land, on Saturday, May 6th, 10 a.m. Two massive trucks with high praise, prayer, and declaration will lead motorcades across Tobago. One truck leaves Roxborough and heads to Scotland.
Welcome to Limage Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look down below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Yes, be careful.
Honey, I feel I'm going to start to cook, yes, because these children are hungry now, right? Okay.
Oh, shucks. Oh. These plugs, oh my gosh.
Hey, Lisa, hey, come from there. Come from there.
What's going on in here?
Oh God, I should have buy exhibition, boy.
What would you do if this happened to you? Dial 990 in case of fire emergencies and always have a serviceable fire extinguisher ready and available at all times.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning with Esther Ali, the director of the Palm Star Promotion. This morning she's on the program to chat with us on the second annual National Spelling and Vocabulary Challenge. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning to Tobago.
Any opportunity to be in Tobago, yes?
Yes, any opportunity. And the greatest opportunity is to help educate the future leaders of our nation in Tobago this weekend.
So it's good to have you. Now, before we get into what's happening with the second challenge, Spelling and Vocabulary Challenge,
sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the first one and what it was like.
Okay. It was held in 2020 during COVID time. It was in a collaboration with Lime Radio at that time, and we got some sponsors involved, and we said, let's educate the children. And one of our directors said, let's do spelling. And we jumped at the opportunity. We went to Dairy, we went to Charon's bookstore, we went to Possard's the Food King, and a few other people who came on board, and we had it at Trinity Mall and Passage to Asia. At that time, qualifying was done over the radio, via phone. And when the students qualified, we brought them into semifinals and then ran. We had like 60 students into it. It did very well, and then COVID got worse and we went down. I was a part of it, and then I said to myself, let me do something that is different, because Palm Star is into event management and promotion. All right? Besides writing marketing strategies that complement it. So through prayer, I said, okay, I'll do spelling again, and then, the Lord said to me, you need to do it a bit different. You go with vocabulary. So I'm doing spelling and vocabulary. And last year I did spelling and vocabulary in Trinity Mall, and it was COVID time again. And we had 107 students registered in the height of COVID. And we were thrilled. We broke it down to 89 because some of the kids developed the virus during that time, and we were very sorry. But it did very well. We had children from the ages of 10 to 12 at that time. This time we are having children from 8 plus to 12 plus, where we break it down into standards this time. It's not just anybody. It's standard 3, 4, and 5 based on your age category. And spelling at that time, we had a lot of nervous kids, a lot of frightened kids. Our judges, our staff was welcoming to the children, loving, caring, just as the passion that I have, they have. And I handpick all my judges and my team players and everything that I do. Yeah. So there's a family love that a child will stand up there and freeze, and Auntie Esther will come from the back and hug up the child and comfort the child. And
just what they need, yes.
Yes, and the judges will do the same, come off of their chairs and comfort the children. Last year we gave tablets, we gave hampers. Some of the sponsors we had last year came back with us, which is our major sponsor this year and last year, which is Sharon's Bookstore and Caribbean Airlines. We had dairy for maths, because this is not the only thing we do. We don't only do spelling, we do maths. We had maths in October. We had Super Cow for spelling last year. We had NATCO Quality Roofing, which is companies in Trinidad and in Tobago. We had quite a few small companies as well. This year we are happy to say, I mean, we've got quite a few sponsors, and sponsors that we did not expect, but most of them give the aspect of sponsorship in terms of tokens for the children. And these events cost a lot. This time in Tobago, we had 104 students, and we broke down to 94. And that is going to take place tomorrow. In Trinidad, we have over 160 students registered.
Wow. So tell us what is, in terms of the competition, the first that first leg of the competition.
Okay, the first leg of the competition, the students are given 3 words: a word to spell, a word to give the meaning of, and a word to put in the proper context of a sentence. It must not be a phrase, it must not be a comment, it mustn't be a one-word sentence. It must be a complete sentence. When you move from preliminary, you go into qualifying, where we add a 4th category, which is local words. Please do not be afraid, young people. My children, do not be afraid. The local words are Tobago words in Tobago. Okay, it's not going to come from Kutisi, Kutala. It's Tobago dialect. I did my research. I got Tobago dialect words. So nobody is supposed to be afraid of this. In the qualifying round, we take 25 students from the morning session of the 94 students, and we bring them to the qualifying in the afternoon. From that, we pull 3 children, which we will bring to Trinidad for the grand final in June. In Trinidad, we are having the event on the 20th, the 27th, and the 3rd of June at Trinity Mall. So the students will be asked with their parent or guardian to be at the grand final on the 3rd of June.
All right. Now, this is happening tomorrow.
Tomorrow at Lowlands Mall. Registration starts at 7 a.m. sharp. Folks, please, because the number of students and the number of questions will be given to the children. The words are coming from your syllabus. It's not coming out of a hat.
Right.
Like some parents call and say, Auntie Esther, I ain't get words, I can't study, my child can't study. I said, what standard is your child in? This is standard 3 or 4 or 5 respectively. We will let you know it is coming from your curriculum. It's not like we have to give you 20 or 30 words and say, learn it. It defeats the purpose.
Right.
The intention is to show your child's capability, and where your child falls short, do not condemn them, please, and teachers, do not condemn them. Help enhance them so that next time around, they are more advanced. We do not prevent any child from repeating competitions with us. Our intention is to have 6 competitions that these children take part in from standard 3 to standard 5, which is spelling and maths competitions.
All right.
And we are thankful for all the support we have gotten in Tobago from the schools. We got assistance from St. Michael's Anglican, Delaford Primary, Signal Hill Government, who has been very instrumental, the principal in our part, and members of the fraternity within the teaching sector. Those who has come forward, we appreciate it. And we have local judges from Tobago. Please, folks, do not feel that it's a Trinidad thing and you're bringing only Trinidad judges. We have 2 judges from Trinidad. One is an adjudicator that works along with the team, And then we have a senior judge. So the other judges will get accustomed and familiar themselves into these sessions. So next time around, I don't need to bring anybody from Trinidad.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that we even have to speak on that issue of, judges from Trinidad and don't feel that they're,
I know a lot of parents were like, so you're bringing your judges from Trinidad. I'm like, no, darling, they are not the ones making up the time to do the questions. The questions and the words are being asked by Tobago judges. We have a senior judge there for guidance. And we have a senior judge there as an adjudicator. Some of our sponsors are Caribbean Airlines. Thanks to all our sponsors, Caribbean Airlines, Charon's Bookstores, Royal Castle, Quality Roofing, Dairy and Tobago. We have Viola's, Natco, Quality Roofing, AJ Medical, also out of Tobago. We have Trinity Mall, Mobile. Under the AS Bryden Group, we have Columbina, Bond, Bridge, Tang, Chocolisto, Eve, Pat and Max, Country Pride, Farmerton Kiddie, and Eastern Credit Union. Now, folks, let me give you all a little teaser. We're going to have mascots there for kids to take photo ops with. We're going to have sampling. It's not just a competition. It's a family outing.
Right. So parents can take the time to be there with the children.
The thing is to bond with your children and students, to bond with their fellow students and their teachers out of the school.
Yes.
It builds a family bond, and it goes a long way that children recognize me even though I have on a mask. Auntie Esther, well, is next competition. Or they will hear you mention in October, I said I was having spelling in Tobago, and children called me from Trinidad recently. It's like, Auntie Esther, you ain't going to Tobago? We could go to Tobago.
I think they want to trip over.
Exactly.
They want to trip.
They are happy that they could be involved in something, and their fellow students in Tobago could enjoy what they enjoyed. Because we have fabulous prizes. We have certificates of participation that I give to every participant in Tobago and Trinidad. I have tablets that I give to top winners. I have medals. I have hampers. Many things to give to these kids. But most important, parents, you have your own competition to do tomorrow as well. You all have 3 words to give me: word of meaning, word to spell, and word in the correct context, because I have hampers to give away to the top 6 parents.
Wow.
It's going to be wonderful. It's a wonderful day of education, learning, and building relationships. Please come out, even though you did not register your child and you feel your child can make it. I will do the registration on the spot and give the child the opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much, Auntie Esther. I have an Auntie Esther that I love dearly. Thank you so much, Auntie Esther Ali, for being on the program with us. And it's all happening tomorrow at the Lowlands City Mall.
From 7 a.m.
That's right. So bring them out. And it's a good opportunity for our boys and girls. Let them get their feet wet. Standard 3, 4, and 5?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. And give us a quick number for persons to call for more information.
471-2604. You can call me at any time.
All right, and there you go. And the flyer is on social media. It is on their Facebook page. You can check them out for some more information. All right, you can see who are some of the sponsors and some of the prizes that can be won, and the dates as well. That's very important. Very important. The dates and locations throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So all the best to our boys and girls who are going to be going out there tomorrow. Just before we go to the next interview, just to remind you here that Jesus Rally is on tomorrow. That is Saturday the 6th. And it starts from 10 a.m. Now, two legs or two locations of the rally. So one starts in the east and one starts at the west. In the east at the Delaford Community Center. In the west at the stadium, the Dwight York Stadium. I almost said Sidbury. The Dwight York Stadium. All right, that's west. And they both start at 10 a.m. Remember, the theme this year is Rejoice, O Land. It's happening, and that's the theme for 2023. Well, viewers, lots more coming up.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
Before you cut. I would like to also say thanks to courts who came on last minute with us to give tokens to the children, and also to Detour for providing my team with their polo shirts, and their support over the years has been much appreciated.
Thank you so much. And that's the love and support they're coming to you from Auntie Esther.
Thank you, darling.
All right. Coming up next, viewers, coming up next on our program, we will be chatting with Michael Duncan and George Walcott, and they both represent the Green Thumb Organic Farmers Market, and they'll tell us a lot more about it and what's happening this weekend. So viewers, share the live, share the live, share the live.
finish.
The Across the Floor Dance Company presents Emotions, Movement of the Heart dance production on Saturday, May 27th at the Shore Park Complex. Come see dances of all genres. Seating at 6:30 p.m. Show starts promptly at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $100. Children 10 and under pay $50 at the door. Tickets are available at Shore Park Complex box office or please call 391-2816 for more information. This is an event for the entire family.
Jesus Rally Tobago is back. Rejoice, O land, on Saturday, May 6th, 10 a.m. Two massive trucks with high praise, prayer, and declaration will lead motorcades across Tobago. One truck leaves Roxborough and heads to Scotland.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Johnny, call fire. What's the number? Oh, God.
Fan emergency, good afternoon. You said the building is on fire. Are there any persons trapped? 4 persons. What is the address of the call, ma'am? Number 4, Candy Drive, Pier Road. Can I have your name, please? Miss Bihari. Thank you, Miss Bihari. I'll be dispatching an appliance. Central Control from Fire Control.
Go ahead, Fire Control. Central Control is receiving over.
Central Control, have a plans and crew. Respond to our residential fire. Same is at number 4, Candy Drive, Pier Road, Chabonas. 4 persons are trapped, 2 adults, 2 children. They were unable to make contact with fire service, so she called on their behalf.
Transmission received loud and clear. Operator Central Control 3463. Firefighter Wiley, Central Controller.
Create an evacuation plan for you and your family and practice your escape. Always ensure you have more than one way to safely exit your home. Your lives may depend on it.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we continue the discussions this morning, we're heading on in. We're talking food, importance of food security here in our Tobago space. More importantly, we've come from a time where over the years we were proud persons to actually produce what we eat and not just rely on things coming into Tobago. This morning we're talking about Tobago's first organic farmers market, and we are chatting with Michael Duncan, farmer and owner of Green Thumb Organic Farmers Market, and George Walcott, coordinator of Green Thumb Organic Farmers Market. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
All right. So as we start the conversation this morning, and I know we kind of got things going before the interview even started, I want you to start by giving us a little insight. How long have you gentlemen been involved in the agriculture sector?
For me, I grew up in that.
Right.
See my father work in garden. I was the only one to stick with him. Right, so I see that I took over.
So a natural progression into that field, right?
Yeah. Well, I can see the same like Michael. I grew up in an agricultural community, which is Charlottesville background. And all that we know as children, was gardening and the cocoa estate. So it's a natural progression as we age that we stick with what we know, which is, agricultural activity, farming activities.
All right. As the farmer and more so specifically the owner in terms of Green Thumb Organic Farmers Market, tell us about this initiative in particular that's started to happen, the first organic farmers market. What was the inspiration behind it?
I sat down and I was telling George a long time ago, I said, George, the cost of living is high. We have a lot of young people in our church. I must have been the Adventist, George has already Adventist. So we need to encourage these young people to do agriculture, to be entrepreneurs, right? Because as I was telling George yesterday, the House of Assembly cannot employ everybody. So you need to be entrepreneurs. And so we need to create this space or this environment so that people could be empowered to grow their own food.
All right.
A country or an island that grows its own food is a powerful island country, because food is important,
Correct. And you're holding fast to that. A very valuable point indeed. Tell us, when is it carded to take place?
Okay, on Sunday, the 7th of May, starting from 9 a.m. until all producers sold. We're looking at cutoff point 5 p.m. until all materials are sold. Registration, we have a number of interested persons who express their desire, to be there in showcasing, displaying their produce, as well as the buying public coming in to really patronize what will be the offering for the day. So we are hoping to have registration around from 8 o'clock, right? Sunday morning, and then we kick things off 9 o'clock. Obviously, we'll have our formalities, preliminaries, and so on, and then we declare the day's market open.
All right, and it gets started from what time?
9 a.m.
From 9 a.m.
Yes.
All right. Where exactly is this set to take place in Mount Pleasant?
That is near the Chevron police station. When you come, you'll see two big white tents. You can't miss that.
So that's in the new development space?
Right, good.
Okay.
Right there.
Mount Pleasant Main Road.
Main Road. Yeah, right.
Okay, then good. Excellent. Give us an idea of what persons can look forward to as part of this display. I know before we got started, you were making the distinction between just a farmer's market and looking now at the broader concept of a community space. What can persons expect on Sunday?
Well, lots of items. We have coming up from Trinidad, Patrick Moore, who is usually on 95.5 with his Sunday morning program, Lightning, right? He will be there with lots of agricultural produce along with his herbal supplements. He has a very strong following in Tobago with that, where he, bring items that will help the body to help itself in terms of healing that deals with various health issues and so on. So he will be there along with other local persons who will be there as well. So it's not just agriculturally based, but we are saying it's a marketplace, arts and craft, food, whatever you have, it's a marketplace to display and to generate economic activity. It's creating wealth, but financial wealth is a small part of it. The wealth is sharing of ideas. So when farmers or entrepreneurs or business people meet, we can share. I into seedlings, you into vegetable production. We come together, we share ideas. And there's where the wealth aspect, really has great meaning in terms of education and sharing of information to benefit all, stakeholders.
Very quickly, Michael, before we wrap this morning, where do you hope to see this vision go? I know this is your baby. This is your brainchild.
From village to village. That's where everybody. It started with us first in Mount Pleasant, from village to village. Let me just.
So you're hoping to see that the farmers ultimately, and those interested persons will continue to come together to move it around the island.
I met a guy from Trinidad. He told me he saw my sign. That is what he makes locally. Right. So all these people coming together just with the ideas, because we have a lot of skilled people. So we just have to bring them together.
Yes. All right.
Right, and in addition to that, we want to be innovative, in outreach. We just don't want to be static in one location. So it's like reaching the people, meeting the people rather in their local community. So that's the concept of taking it to different communities around Tobago where people can, establish their stalls and so on, and they can really showcase their items and materials, and they can have benefit from what they have produced by sales and relationship building.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much there, gentlemen. Tell us just before we close.
We want to invite you all to, right? To be a part. You want to come and see what is taking place.
Yes, certainly.
Right.
That's on Sunday.
Right, and in addition as well, Mother's Day will be the following weekend.
That's right.
So it's a good opportunity, for children, for parents, for loved ones to really come out and to take advantage of what will be on display. So it's for the early birds, you come and to really benefit what we have to offer. So see all of Tobago at Mount Pleasant next Sunday, the 7th, starting at 9 a.m.
All right, and we just put back up the flyer there. I see some of our persons online asking about the contact. So the telephone contact for more information, Michael Duncan, 295-4232. That's 295-4232. Or 726-3589. That's 726-3589. And it's the Green Thumb Organic Farmers Market. An open invitation this Sunday from 9 a.m. Head down to Mount Pleasant there near the Shervan Police Station. That's the place to be. All right, all the best, gentlemen, and we'd certainly look forward to getting some highlights coming out of this initiative. Thank you so much for joining us here on set on the Tobago Updates morning show.
Thank you.
Viewers, we want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. At this point, we're preparing to head on into Tobago Notes and then on to GMT. But not before we give a quick shout out in the mix. Cameron, Miss Carol, Katie, hey Katie, Robinson, Anderson, Desmond, Kaylee Lewis, our youth host in the mix. Auntie Donut, Selma Lashley, Listra. I'm also seeing Herman on with us this morning. Lisa James, QQ Melville, Tintin, Jack, Rhonda, Kerry, Julia. We want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. Yes, folks, it's Friday. We want to wish you a productive weekend as well. I'm heading on out, but remember to stay tuned as we head on in to Tobago Notes, followed by GMT. Bye-bye, folks.
Now, Secretary Charles Pant, in your division would have done a lot in 2022. Are there any future plans that you'd like to share with us for 2023?
Yes, we have several plans. Some of them would just be a continuation of what we started in the last fiscal. Like the Louisdor processing facility, we're going to continue with that. The Barbados fish facility, we're going to continue with that. And last fiscal, we would have submitted a proposal to the Ministry of Planning. So once we get the funding for that, we're going to fix up the botanical gardens. We're going to focus on the aesthetics. So when we talk about aesthetics, we're talking about plants and the different varieties of plants, plants that, you know, are indigenous to Tobago. And we really want to beautify the area, not only in terms of plants, but also in terms of infrastructure. You want to be able to, you know, bring your family there, have a picnic, maybe have coffee at a coffee shop, and of course the fencing we like to transform. You know, right now the fence is all rusted and falling, so we want to introduce some art. All right, so we'll have a lot of upgrades being done on the compound. We already started with one of the units, the buildings there. And that will continue once we get the funding from the Ministry of Planning.
You would have just highlighted the mega farms. That's a very interesting kind of concept for the island of Tobago. You want to tell us any little bit about that project?
Okay, so under the Special Purpose Company, TADCO, the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, as I mentioned earlier, it's a separate entity to the division, so it's a profit-making entity. And building out the mega farm, you would want to do some of the groundwork before. So we started out by building capacity in the poultry farmers. So that is why we have the Poultry Contract Initiative, where we give the chicks and the feed for free. And we are hoping that lands will be given out, a lease arrangement, a contractual arrangement given to farmers, so that they can more or less engage in agricultural production. In my division, we like to work as a team. As a matter of fact, I encourage it because, I mean, you need the expertise of everyone to be on board with every project. So we're going to continue to work as a team to improve the functions at the tractor pool station. And we're going to continue with all the initiatives under FAO to ensure that, you know, we support the stakeholders in the wider community.
Yeah. Now, when you indicated FAO, some persons may not know what that organization is about. Just tell us the full name of that organization and what are some of the key, just probably one or two of the projects that you'll be collaborating on going forward.
The FAO is a Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And we have partnered with them to build out the greenhouses made of bamboo. So that's the Bamboo Shade House project. We just completed the banana project in St. Vincent. They modeled the same project in St. Vincent. They just did it in Tobago and it was successful. We're going to continue with them in terms of improving the quality of livestock on the island. So very soon we'll have the Cubans coming in and doing that embryo transfer and, you know, fertilization project. So we are going to continue our partnerships with all the organizations. As I said, agriculture is a science and a business, and we intend to continue along that way.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candice Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. The Ministry of Energy and Energy Industry was accused of holding back economic progress in Tobago by Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James. At the post-executive press conference yesterday, James said that the Study Park Enterprises Limited is without its blasting permit, halting production. The blasting permit expired in April 2023, but James claims that attempts to renew it began in October 2022, 5 months before the expiration date. They were unable to obtain positive responses from the ministry, according to James. As a result, the THA is unable to profit from the quarry. Meanwhile, James also raised concerns about the ministry's intentions to audit the Study Park quarry before granting a mining license to decide if royalty should be paid to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. According to the THA Act 40 of 1996, all state lands in Tobago are vested in the Tobago House of Assembly, and all royalties and taxes must be paid to the THA. He said that the prevention of the license is another attempt by the central government to encroach upon the rights of the THA and called on the minister to intervene. And nationally, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has 7 days to publicly apologize to the opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar or face a defamation lawsuit. Rowley accused Persad-Bissessar of saying crime is targeting one ethnic group at Sunday's PNM Sports Day in Toko. Persad-Bissessar's attorney delivered a pre-action protocol letter to Rowley yesterday. Failure of Dr. Rowley to issue a public apology will trigger High Court proceedings for the defamation lawsuit. She claimed that the statements had irreparably damaged her reputation, while the Prime Minister attempted to divert attention away from his failures to control the crime situation. And that was your news in 90 seconds. And viewers, just as you heard, we have a whole lot to talk about regarding what's been happening at the Study Park quarry. You know, all the work that has gone on over the past several years in terms of, you know, getting the quarry back to a state where we can even export some of the material that's mined there to places like Guyana and so on. However, it seems as though all of those things are halted for now. And joining me on set to talk about some of these issues and to sort of get to the bottom as to what's really going on at the quarry, we have none other than the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Mr. Trevor James. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Candice. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad, and your viewers and listeners wherever they are in the world.
Yes. Now, I want to start off with, you know, Dr. Rowley actually responded to some of the claims that you made yesterday at the press conference. Of course, you made the case, and we're going to get into some details about it as to, you know, what really happened with the blasting permit, and the mining license. But Dr. Rowley said, or claimed rather, that he was prevented from visiting the quarry at his last visit. And I want to know, is there any truth to those statements? Are you aware of his intentions to visit the quarry to see what was going on?
A request came, Candice, and sometimes we must just speak the truth. A request came to the division from NIDCO to visit the quarry, along with members of the division of the Ministry of Works and Transportation. The Prime Minister is aware of statutory meetings between himself and the Chief Secretary, and surely, if the Prime Minister wants to come to Tobago and to do anything official to visit the quarry, all he has to do is call the Chief Secretary and say, listen, I want to do this, and arrange it. That was not done. In terms of the NIDCO Ministry of Works issue, we have written to NIDCO regarding the airport and asking for a meeting since 2022, February, up to now, we have not been able to have that meeting to discuss what's going on at the airport. And the Executive Council took a decision that until NEDCO comes to the table, then we will not facilitate their request, and that was that.
And do you have any chance to speak to were you involved in any of the communication at all with NEDCO, with the Prime Minister's protocol team, etc.?
No. The information came to me through the administrator. I took it to the Executive Council. The Executive Council decided that the visit will not be facilitated at this time until NEDCO comes to the table to discuss the airport. And that was that. That was communicated to the PS in the Ministry of Works. As you know, NEDCO is one of the companies managed by the Ministry of Works.
Yes.
And that was that. There was no communication about the Prime Minister from the Prime Minister's office or anything like that. And to suggest that some government official in Tobago knew that he had made a request and to suggest that he is the expert or the only expert in geology or some craziness is just talk by the Prime Minister that continues to fuel this idea that there is some big divide between the government in Trinidad and the government in Tobago. There is no such divide. We are governed and administrated by a series of laws, and we continue to try to live within the laws that govern Tobago and govern Trinidad and Tobago, and we will continue to do that. And we hope that the government in Trinidad will do the same.
Now, when was this request to visit the quarry made?
I don't remember the exact date. I only read that article this morning about what the Prime Minister said. So
this was some time ago?
Oh, yes, this was some time ago. It's earlier in the year.
Early in the year.
And NEDCO, is responsible for several projects in Trinidad and the airport in Tobago. And presumably they wanted to see, I don't know what visiting the quarry will do to them specifically. There's a management team at the quarry. All NEDCO has to do is request material if they want to buy material. It still baffles me why a project management company who is the client on a project will buy material for a project when the project has a contractor. That still baffles me, but be that as it may, NEDCO buys material from us and we sell to NEDCO. We have taken no action to prevent them from buying material. They are a client and we treat them as any other client, and they buy at the price that we sell, and that's that. Clients don't usually come to visit our stock and to make a determination as to what is going on. They take the reports and the information as requested from the managers at the quarry, and there was no need for NEDCO to visit the quarry.
All right, now let's get into, what really happened with the licensing, because for start, the mining license, how long did that expire?
The mining license, the mining license, I'm just going to get my notes. We made a request. For, let's first start with the blasting permit.
Okay.
Because I think there's a need for Tobago public to understand what has happened. If we were to take the Prime Minister's statement yesterday, one might conclude that the Prime Minister, in some tiff of bad-mindedness, believing that he was denied coming to the quarry, and therefore behind the scenes, taking whatever action he can take through a ministry to punish Spell and to punish Tobago because some government officer in Tobago prevented him as head of the government to visit a site in Tobago. And maybe that is just a bad-mindedness showing forth. But the reality on the ground is that there are laws that govern this arrangement. Spell applied for a blasting permit in October of 2022. 6 or 7 months before the permit would have expired in April. And we've been trying to go through whatever process the ministry has come up with to secure this license. Never in the history of Spell has a blasting license expire before Spell is granted a license. Now the blasting license allows us to procure explosives
in order to blast the rock out of the ground. So this is a critical component in the production process. And it cannot be that a government company representing the people of Tobago, simply because there's a regime change in Tobago, that somebody in Trinidad can decide, some groups of people, because this has to do with the director of the OSHA and the COP, deciding that we must delay this process or being willfully negligent to allow a license to expire without granting approval. This is an ongoing government concern. It's not a private somebody that you could put them through the ringer. This is an ongoing government concern, which under an administration that was headed by the PNM for years never had these issues, and these issues are only coming up now because there's a change in government in Tobago, and I think there is some withdrawal symptoms, taking place in Trinidad, where they still want to feel that they're in charge because the previous administrations just gave them authority to do whatever they want.
And actually, I mean, if I remember correctly, in 2015, when Dr. Raleigh took office, became the Prime Minister, one of his instructions to Tobago at that point in time was essentially for the Quarry to become a private entity, which it did, and that's how SPEL was formed.
That's right.
And to be able to be producing more. And there was a mandate coming from the government to, use the materials. In fact, we stopped importing materials from other parts of the world for aggregate and so on. And it was, there was a policy adopted that we should depend on the study park quarry for the highways and things like that in Trinidad. So it's very interesting that, we are having no problem at a state, after we had that mandate from 2015, we are now at a state where we're having problems to get the licensings and necessary permits to operate.
Like I said, Candice, this is the best way for me to put it. It's like a coke addict having a withdrawal symptom. Your party is no longer in power, and you can't just call and say, listen, I want to do this and get it done. And this is a problem for those in Trinidad. But I mean, the people of Tobago will judge for themselves. We have made the application. We've done everything that we can do, and the ministry, under the direction of the Prime Minister, continues to try to block these licenses. Whether, in fact, the time is coming when we must take a stand in Tobago to issue our own license to SPEL, that may be the future. But for now, we are appealing to the Ministry of Energy and Energy Resources to do what is right by the law and issue the license tomorrow. This is what is required. We are part of the government infrastructure in Trinidad and Tobago. SPEL is a government company, and there is simply no need, there's simply no reason to block a blasting license. In regards to the mining license, again, we made the application. I don't have the date here for some reason, but again, we made the application, and to date, we can't get the license. The ministry has gone so far to send auditors to SPEL, linking the auditing of SPEL for the purpose of paying royalties to the ministry, to the issuance of a mining license. No, this is unheard of. This has never happened.
Before, because I don't want to spend all the time speaking about that audit and the royalties and so on. But what has the ministry been saying to you whenever SPEL has approached them about what's happening with the licensing?
No, I'm not in the day-to-day conversation, but I'm reading from reports sent to me.
Okay.
Right? An audit was never done on the Tobago Quarry by a ministry in Trinidad, by the Ministry of Energy.
So that was their initial response?
It has never been done from 2016, 2017 to now when SPEL came into being. It has never been done. Even before that, it's never been done. There was an acceptance that the rights that is associated with the lands at SPEL have been legally transferred to the THA. And there was absolutely no need to do it. All this is coming about because there's a change in government in Tobago. And the people of Tobago must be clear on that. The ministry, after our request application for a license, visited Spell on the 15th of November, the 7th of February, the 20th of February. And when I was there on Monday or Tuesday, auditors were there going through the records at Spell. And I have an email from someone in the ministry saying that this audit has to be completed before consideration could be given.
So not even,
to Spell, to
so it's a
receiving mining
consideration at
license.
this point in time.
Yeah, that they're going to decide whether they will grant Spell a mining license after this audit for determine the quantum of royalties to be paid, supposedly to the ministry. And the law is clear that the rights to the land belong to the THA, and no royalties are due and owing to the Ministry of Energy. And in any case, all taxes generated in Tobago are paid in Tobago.
And again, this is very interesting, and I have to bring up that 2015 situation where Dr. Raleigh did indicate that he wants to see the Quarry Park Quarry be more productive, because for a time, we know that for a time it was down, and a lot of work went into bringing it to the state as to where it is today, where we were able to export. I know also that since during 2021, when their attempts were made to export some of the materials, you guys also encountered problems with the necessary permits to do that export.
Even while Kelvin Charles was chief secretary, there were problems getting this export license. I think the Ministry of Trade, along with the Ministry of Energy, issued a license to Sterling Park for 1 month to export. We have private companies in Trinidad that have extended license. When Spell is given an export license, it's given an export license to a specific client or specific vendor for a specific period of time. There is this intent from Trinidad to control whatever we do. It baffles me. What is the need for someone to want to do that? Why do we sit in Port of Spain and in Chaguanas and in San Fernando and in Point Fortin and feel that we must be the people controlling what happens in Tobago? Why is that? We need Trinidadians and Trinidad government officials to just back off and stop and say, hey, what's going on? The Tobago House of Assembly, let's support them in the functions and let them do their work.
And what can you give us an idea of what's the profit that's being generated by the Sterling Park Quarry, especially over the last year? And I know, of course, the pandemic sort of held things back a bit, but what are we missing out on with the continued closure because of the lack of these licenses to do the necessary operations?
Well, for now, I can't speak to the profits. Spell has always been a challenge for the THA to profit, to generate profits from. There's been challenges with staff, with managerial systems and structures and so on, with equipment especially as well. And we came in meeting Spell in debt. We have been trying to we've spent the first year getting a feel and understanding of what is the cost of production, what should our prices be. We've explored the possibilities of exporting to Guyana and so on, and we have a lot of people who are interested in purchasing. There's a large market in Trinidad as well from their infrastructure works down there. So there's opportunities for Spell. We need to still find a way to let Spell generate the income that we believe there's potential for. No, that is a separate issue to what we are discussing. The ability for Spell to make a profit is inconsequential to the need and the right of the Spell and the Tobago House of Assembly to get a license. But Spell continues to be a challenge, and we've installed a new board recently, and we have an expectation. A new general manager will come on stream shortly, and we have an expectation that we will finally see the turnaround. Hopefully by the end of this year, the full systems will be in place, and we can see a different production level at Spell. That is our hope. Now, we continue to be able to supply the Trinidad market, and we continue to be able to supply the Tobago market. If the license are not granted, obviously, there can be no asphalt production in Tobago. all the roads and the potholes and the plants we have will be left undone. There'll be no concrete manufacturing in Tobago because aggregate is the key component of that. The whole construction industry might crash because you can't buy gravel. And bad-mindedness of the Prime Minister should tell Tobagonians what they need to do when election time comes, because we just cannot have someone in government who behaves in this manner. We just can't have it.
All right. Well, Mr. James, we will continue this discussion in a little bit, but first we've got to take a quick break, so please don't go anywhere.
Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the sky.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Jesus Rally Tobago is back. Rejoice, O land, on Saturday, May 6th, 10 a.m. Two massive trucks with high praise, prayer, and declaration will lead motorcades across Tobago. One truck leaves Delaford and heads to Scarborough. Another truck leaves Dwight York Stadium and heads to Crown Point. Then we meet in Scarborough for the Praise March. Join us for the motorcade and press stops along the way. We are declaring Jesus is Lord over the land. Jesus Rally Tobago. Rejoice, O land. Saturday, May 6th. Jesus is Lord.
Everybody only worrying.
Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
The Across the Floor Dance Company presents Emotions, Movement of the Heart dance production on Saturday, May 27th at the Shore Park Complex. Come see dances of all genres. Seating at 6:30 p.m. Show starts promptly at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $100. Children 10 and under pay $50 at the door. Tickets are available at Shore Park Complex box office, or please call 391-2816 for more information. This is an event for the entire family.
October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, we are continuing our conversation with the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Mr. Trevor James, in regards to what's happening at the Study Park Quarry. Now, we touched on it a little bit before we went into the break, and that was the fact that the Study Park Quarry right now is under an audit to determine if royalties should be paid to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And now, Mr. James, I know this is something that's been very upsetting to you and to the division. and it's almost, and they're basically holding the licensing ransom until, you know, they decide what they're going to do after this audit. But, you know, why, what are you guys preparing to do should they decide that the Soddy Park Quarry Enterprises Limited should pay royalties to the government of Trinidad and Tobago and not the THA, as is outlined in the THA Act?
Well, the options available, of course, we can always go to the court for redress. I just want to read for the Tobago public especially, Section 54 of the Tobago House of Assembly Act, 1996. Section 54, item C says, well, let me start with item A. All lands and property of every kind located in Tobago vested in the state except the residence of the President and the Prime Minister are hereby vested in the Assembly in the right of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. All lands. All lands and other property of every kind, including the things in action vested in the former Assembly, are hereby vested in the current Assembly. Item C is a critical item. All rights, privileges, and benefits, and all the liabilities and obligations that immediately before the coming into force of this act, the former Assembly was entitled or subject to, are hereby transferred to and conferred or imposed on the Assembly. All rights and privilege and benefits to all state lands belong to the THA. There is just no way that any rational person can say otherwise. The Minerals Act of 2000 says, Section 39, a licensee mining on state lands or private lands shall pay royalties to the permanent secretary of the ministry responsible for mines in respect of minerals mined in the licensed area within the time period specified under his mining license. Item 2 says, subject to sub-regulation 1, where a licensee can prove to the satisfaction of the minister that he owns the mineral rights mined in the licensed area, he will not be liable to pay to the payment of royalties. Now that is just absolutely clear. The rights have been transferred to the THA. The Minerals Act itself is saying if you can prove you have the rights, there's no need to prove it. The law says it. There's no need for an audit. And again, the ministry is overstepping. This came to us since November. We just decided, let's not create any more confusion. Let them audit. Let them collect the information they want to collect, in the hope that we'll get the license in time. And they're still not doing it. We could have made a big hullabaloo about this since last year. And we simply didn't. The law says clearly that the land belongs to the THA and the rights belong to the THA, and we do have to pay to the to the permanent secretary. That's what the law says.
Has there ever been a structure in place for the THA to be able to collect royalties from the Soddy Park Quarry?
We've just discussed that recently at the Executive Council. And, once Spell begins to operate like a real professional company, right now we make a subvention to Spell, the THA that is, to help them manage their costs and all of that. And we hope to move to a place where we make no subvention and Spell pays royalty, or we come to some arrangement where the Division of Infrastructure gets a reduced price, a significantly reduced price for the material as part of the royalty payment. And hopefully by 2024, January, we get to that place. And all of these actions by the ministry under the guidance of the Prime Minister, who says he's Tobagonian, are concerning to us.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to dive a little bit more into the royalties aspect of things and how it works, could you explain how does royalties work for a company like Spell?
Well, I am not sure, but I think generally speaking, quarries in Trinidad pay some percentage of their profit as royalties. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a research that I need to do.
And has Spell been generating any kind of a profit to be able to pay royalties?
Well, Spell has not generated profit, but maybe it is not profit. Maybe it is a percentage of the money you receive from, so it becomes part of your cost. But I'm saying, in any case, the THA is subsidizing Spell. and if any payment has to be made, it has to be made to the THA. The rights to the land is clearly the people of Tobago and the THA, and the ministry again is overreaching. It is similar, Candice, to what has happened in the airport project. It is similar to NEDCO using CEP to submit an application to EMA to extend the jetty in Scarborough. All of that is illegal. There's no way the EMA should consider an application for property that belongs to someone else from a third party. It's just crazy. And when we bring these things to the fore, you know, people in Trinidad say we've been contentious and we're looking for a fight. But someone can't come onto your land, come onto your property and do as they please, and you sit back and do nothing. Otherwise, they take over your land and they get constructive. What's the word? They become squatters over time and claim the land over time. And we in Tobago, we just can't stand for that. Remember, there's a reason why the parliament, controlled by a majority in Trinidad, continues to attempt to define Tobago with 6 nautical miles. There's a reason for that. And not define Trinidad. There's an intent and a knowledge in Trinidad that if you allow Tobago to be defined by as the unclosed law says, then the mineral bed and everything in the sea will belong to Tobago, and the parliament just does not want that. And so they define Tobago with 6 nautical miles, and they know that everything within that zone now belongs to the THA to own and to administer. And so in the realization of that, they came at their last bill to take all that away, everything from the low water mark, and say that belongs to Trinidad and Tobago under their control. That's what the bill that they came to Tobago with.
Now, Mr. James, you actually raised it several times, the concern about what's going on with the airport, the new airport terminal construction. What is the latest with that? And what is the THA involvement with that at this point in time?
We've held our tongue when we came into office. The movement of people off the lands was being managed by our division, and there were issues arising with people down there and NEDCO putting them off and police and all of that drama. And we took the decent step of, the gentlemanly step and say, let's call for a meeting, let's discuss the thing. And NEDCO has refused twice. And the people of Tobago will judge for themselves. We've waited a year, and we will discuss this matter again at the council, and we will decide on what our actions would be, because we've disenfranchised several Tobagonians. You've taken 3-4 years to provide the property for them, and they've lost all their money in rent. You're building a terminal that is right adjacent to a major thoroughfare. You've never seen that across any airport anywhere in the world, where you're going to stand on the main road and throw dynamite on an airport terminal building. You are intending to put parking on the inside of the terminal, where you have to go and see the runway to park. I mean, the whole project is misdesigned, misconceptualized, and certainly mislocated. But a discussion we could have. I mean, there is nothing wrong in saying to NEDCO or the Ministry of Works, or in this case the Ministry of Finance, who is a client, let's have a discussion with this. We represent the people in Tobago. You are spending your money, which should have been spent by the THA in the first place. And we could have a discussion and come to a reasonable term as to say how we go forward. How do we build an asset that benefits Tobago for the next 50, 60 years? Where does the THA see this asset benefiting the tourism push that we want to have? Where the linkages we want to make? How will the terminal be managed? These are issues that Tobagonians want to participate in a discussion with, and the NEDCO disrespectfully refuses to meet. But at the same time, they want to come to Stanley Park and buy our material. I mean, that would be reasonable.
Now, I also know that there might be another land acquisition process when it comes time to build the access road to the airport. Has there been any discussion or any communication with the THA in regards to that second phase of a land acquisition that might be happening?
Well, again, you know, as a project person myself, clearly there's severe lack of planning by the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of Finance with regard to the project. And I mean, we have the designs. I have the designs for sure.
And that's good for the access road.
Well, Pure, under the Ministry of Works, did a design. We have a copy of it. To us, it's misaligned, and it doesn't make as much sense as we would hope that it would make. But again, they have come to Tobago under the last regime and intend to do whatever they please, and certainly expect that we will just coil over and accept whatever they give. But surely we are on a course. We run on a campaign of transforming Tobago through infrastructure development, and then we absolutely need to participate in it. And we will continue to reach out one more time and ask for that meeting again. And then we would have to be forced to take other steps. I mean, you know, we just cannot have be given responsibility for certain things under the fifth schedule and have the I don't want to say central government anymore, have the colonial government in Trinidad deciding to come back and do what they please. It just doesn't happen. When you give internal self-government to a territory, you don't take it back. I mean, the history of Britain is there for all of us to follow. And there is just this incessant need somehow to control what people do on the ground in Tobago. I don't understand it. And Tobagonians have to stand up and stop being this docile group of people who accept things because somebody from Trinidad do it. They are the same as us, same color skin, same color blood, same voters vote for them. And we represent people. And we're going to represent the people of Tobago as manfully and as strategically and as skillfully as we can, because that's our responsibility.
And now, when it comes to what's going to, you mentioned the development push for Tobago. What's the latest in terms of the development plan for Scarborough and the reimagining of Scarborough? I know one of the first phases in terms is to put the lines, the power lines, below ground. How far is that project along?
The master plan for Scarborough, as you know, the public will know, we had the largest consultation process in the history of Trinidad and Tobago on that project. It went to a consultant. After the consultation, they've submitted a final report. Excuse me, we are now printing and to submit it to the THA. That will be done hopefully in the next sitting. It will go up on a website that the Division of Infrastructure is building out, along with the THA website, and the public can see it again. We'll go to another phase of consultation. We believe that the people of Tobago have a right to know and to decide where they want to go. The designs, although still preliminary, has come back again that took into consideration the data collected from the consultation, and that process will go that process one more time. We attempted to start, as you know, to do some work in and around Scarborough to increase the road infrastructure in Scarborough, to move, to put underground the utility lines and so on. That EOI went out. And we took a decision to put it on hold to see what the designers came back with before we proceeded with that in terms of the location of the underground utility corridor and all of that. So we put that on hold for a bit so we could have a better analysis of what the designers were saying. And we have the design now, so we will assess what was said and what was done and see as a THA what we can do to begin to move the project forward. But in the meantime, we've had interest from several multinational companies who are interested in building out the project. And we reported it to the Tobago public. Good news, hopefully in the near future.
Oh, certainly looking forward to that. But I also want to turn to what's been going on with our roads, because we have a lot of challenges throughout Tobago a lot of potholes, a lot of damaged roads. I mean, a lot of some of them were as a result of last year's inclement weather situation and so on. You know, how are we? What's a methodology being applied to how we go about fixing these roads? Which roads get the priority? Because it seems as though some roads are just there getting worse for, I mean, a long period of time.
Candice and the Tobago public, we are suffering from a severe lack of financial resources. After the rain, the budgets for the Ministry of Works in Trinidad since 2016 is in excess of $20 billion. To the Ministry of Works in Trinidad is in excess of $20 billion since 2016. The Division of Infrastructure, we are probably one of the larger divisions in the THA. We simply get no money. I mean, you know, when you're outside of government and you criticize and you come into office and you have the actual data, it is almost an impossible situation to accept 4.03%. 4 cents on the dollar is just simply unacceptable. And we continue along this path. In terms of the work that we do, there's a competition for where we go, obviously. We try to attack in-house. That is the rules that are as terrible as they are. We try to attack them as systematically as we can. We have equipment limitations. You know, at the division, we've been asking for more funds to buy equipment and so on. We have limited development funds, so going out to contract is even harder. We have a significant debt that we inherited that the chief is trying to pay to at least to bring down. And so there is a cash crunch. And even in that, we have built a road in 20 days in Scarborough here. The Tobagonians are knowledgeable and accept that the paving and the potholes that we have fixed in a year and a few months is significantly more than was done in many years under the PNM. And so we continue to push as far as we can with the limited resources that we have. The people accept that a lot of these challenges are not within the last year, and they're inherited challenges, and we continue to bring them down as fast and as quickly as we can, and we try to manage within the constraint that we have. We've discussed certain strategies of how we bring additional funds into Tobago, and we continue to pursue those opportunities and to see how we can use private sector funds in order to build out the necessary infrastructure in Tobago, and we will continue to do that.
Now, I mean, when it comes to picking which roads you should prioritize, because naturally with budgetary constraints, you have to prioritize which roads need to be done. How do you go about prioritize that? I mean, we're going to get a little insight as to what that process is.
At level one would be the main roads. You saw that being executed during the rains last year. We decided that we're going to keep the main thoroughfares open. So the majority of the resources will go onto the main roads. Obviously, there are some secondary roads which well, not secondary, but there are some roads that are not the main thoroughfare that we need to fix. We've done some of that. All fields, we've done the majority of that. There's a part in the end
still a part that needs to get done.
that had some WASA challenges, obviously, and we had to move. And when we moved, difficult to come back there because there are other demands elsewhere. And there's that appreciation that people must have. If we come to an area to work and we encounter leaking water lines and that kind of stuff, we have to move. And when we move and the men go somewhere else, I mean, it's difficult to come back there because the demand and the noise. People are calling me from that road where the Prime Minister has his property on, Lake Eto Mason Hall Road, for the whole year. And we can't get there, and the road is probably almost impassable now. People in lowlands and suffering, 8-inch Birchwood Triangle and so on. The flooding at Canaan, where the old development was, where that sump is now clogged, behind the little pantent there. So there are challenges all around, but we have limited resources, and we try to do our best to get everybody in a loop and bring relief to some people, and at the same time to do some projects that will tell Tobagonians that we are on the job, and if we can reduce your anxiety that you have suffered for years, as we did in King Peter Bay, tell the Tobago public that, listen, we are intent on building infrastructure, and so we continue along that path. But clearly, firstly, we must keep the main roads going. So we are still in Castara, in-house, and we'll continue to do that.
And of course, the Castara Road, as well as that road by Hanging Down, going towards Roxborough and so on there. Those two areas were some major issues that came up last year as a result of the rains. How are we? How are we progressing in finding a permanent solution? Because the division was able to at least make a way in a relatively short period of time to allow the traffic to flow again on those roads. But of course, it's not the permanent fix.
No, it's not. So you're talking about Bad Rock. Hanging On is another area as well that has,
yes, and Bad Rock, yes.
That has concerns. But in terms of the major roads that we have, Castara, Bad Rock, Hanging Down, Roxborough, Bloody Bay Road are the four areas that are the most treacherous now, and which we have to assign resources to. We have started the planning to bypass Bad Rock if it actually gets worse, and there are a couple of people we need to move, and multi-divisions task force working on trying to arrange for that to happen. So hopefully that will be done, and we can come up. We had the engineers and the surveyors look at Bad Rock and come up with a design. Design is being evaluated now by our staff, and we'll see what the cost is and what may be the best cost-effective design for there. Hanging Down again is one of those areas that is threatened.
Yes.
We looked at it, but not as closely as we could have. And I think the engineering team, consultant team we put together, that's on the list for them to look at and come up with a design for. Also, the road between Roxborough and Bloody Bay as well. That's also on their list. And after the failure in Castara, they did another failure a little further down the hill. That's also going to go away if we don't do something. So they're looking at that as well. And I think they're looking at, what's that area? Cookatone in Mariah, Runnymede area, as well as the long-standing problems. To see if we can at least have the design, put the project on a shovel-ready state, so when monies become available, we can either tender it or to execute it, and that's where we are.
And how much, give me an estimate as to how much that has challenged the overall work of the division, being able to fix just regular roads. How much did those challenges as a result of the weather affect the plans?
Well, when you're in government, you have to be dynamic, and you can make plans, but you have to have a policy that when emergency occurs, that should be able to respond. And I think generally we responded well during the bad weather. You may know or may not know, the Ministry of Works got $280-something million additional to budget because of the bad weather, impact of the bad weather in Trinidad. The THA got not a cent. We submitted from the division a proposal to TEMA, who would have submitted it to the to OPM in Trinidad, who is the agency responsible for putting that budgetary request to the government. $230-something million to repair the damages that we saw consequent to the rain, not a cent. And that's where we are in Tobago. We have a government who is intent on starving us for resources, despite what we have emergencies taking place in Tobago, and they give us not a cent. And we make requests, and and nothing.
All right, well, Mr. James, we are getting ready to wrap up. But, just very quickly before you go, I want you to just explain also, how much the prohibition of the licenses and the blasting permits for the study park quarry is going to affect your road repair program?
Well, if the licenses are not granted, we have a stockpile now on ground. We have blasting material on the ground, and we'll take a decision whether we would sell external clients or not, and whether we'll keep the material for the THA to use. But we are hopeful that the good sense will prevail, and we can sit down as equals between Ministry in Trinidad and the Ministry in Tobago, and we could come to a mutually acceptable solution regarding what the law says and what the responsibilities of both governments are, and we can go forward from there. And the Prime Minister can write the Chief Secretary or call the Chief Secretary and say, listen, Palos, we want to visit, we want to share our expertise with you, and then the Chief Secretary will decide whether that will go forward. I don't see no reason why the Chief Secretary will deny that, but the Prime Minister has to do the right thing.
All right. And, we're also looking forward because later today you are supposed to be having a meeting with the Minister of Works and Transport. And, of course, in regards to the whole licensing issue. Now, we didn't get to talk about that because, we want to hear what comes out of that meeting before, we have a real conversation as to, what the future is for the licensing division and those activities here in Tobago. So, Mr. James, you should be back on with us pretty soon.
I'll do my best to report to the people of Tobago.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. James. And viewers, thank you again for being able to stick with us and be viewing our program. I hope you have a safe and wonderful weekend, and we would see you again on Monday.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies.